Alright, so it's Saturday night, the same day that I've been having all the cravings and all the problems and not searching my house and can't stop thinking about it. And I just went to a meeting in Point Pleasant, which is about 5 miles from where I live, a little bit further than the usual meeting I go to, but the usual meeting place doesn't have a meeting on Saturday. I really felt like I needed one. It was almost like I was counting down the hours to the meeting, like I fucking felt like I needed it, you know, I wanted it. So I went to it, and it was only, man, I went to this church, and there was nobody there. I thought maybe they canceled it, you know. I drove around a couple of times, there was still nobody there. Checked my GPS, make sure I was in the right spot. Checked my meeting schedule to make sure I was at the right church. And I was. So I was like, screw it, man. You know, sitting in this church parking lot is better than sitting somewhere getting high. So that's what I did. I sat there in the church parking lot, and one old man showed up, probably 5 minutes before the meeting was supposed to start. And this old man, as soon as I saw him pull up, I jumped out of my truck, ready to run up and introduce myself, have somebody to talk to that I had something in common with, you know? And he got out of his car and I got out of my truck, and he looked at me and he didn't say a word. And he walked up to the door and he opened the door and walked right in it. I think I even said hey to him and he didn't say nothing back. I saw him go in the door and the door shut behind him, you know. I was probably 5 steps behind him. I said, well, hell, maybe he's a janitor of the church or something. Maybe he don't want me in there. So I stayed out on the steps for a second. I saw his shadow coming back in the window of the door, and he opened the door and he said, "You're in the right place." I said, "I guess I am." So I walked inside, and it's just me and him for a while, man. And we started talking, and he's got like 20 years sober, and man, I hope I can say that one day. So we waited around, and we thought it was just gonna be me and him in the meeting. I said, I'm gonna walk outside and smoke me a cigarette before we start. And I walked out, and he walked out behind me, and another guy showed up. He's about 5 minutes late. And we got to talking. He was talking about his son, some wrestling practice. And so we all went in, us 3. We sat down, we started having a meeting, and another guy showed up. And a couple more people. And by the end of it, you know, there was 10 or 12 people there. Nobody had a topic. It was a real informal meeting. They just asked if we had anything that we wanted to talk about. And it got around to my turn. I didn't have anything to talk about. You know, I don't like being the newcomer that everybody feels like they need to preach to. So I wasn't going to say nothing. And the guy asked me, he said, you know, have you been having any cravings? Have you been thinking about it? And I said, you know what, I have. And I told him, I was like, you know, the first 4 or 5 days I was out, I felt great. I didn't want drugs. And today I can't stop thinking about them. And I don't know what's wrong with me. And that set the tone for the meeting. When I said that, there was about 3 or 4 people in there. So that set the tone for the meeting. That was the topic. And as people filtered in and it was all their turn to talk, somehow they all knew that they were talking to me. Even though they didn't know that I was the one that started the topic, they all looked at me when they were talking. Like only me. You know, I guess they've got a couple months or a couple years sober, and they know that if we're in there talking about temptation, it's probably the fucking new guy. So, you know, a lot of people had a lot of good things to say. And they kept saying something about stinking thinking. And I was like, what the fuck is stinking thinking? So this dude, last guy to talk, last person in the meeting, he looked at me and he said, you're probably thinking, what the fuck is stinking thinking? I just nodded at him. Yeah, I am. He said, stinking thinking is any kind of thinking that would lead you to a relapse. You know, when you're blaming your problems and you're thinking that it'd be okay for you to go use because of this problem, or you know, even just thinking about drugs or blaming other things instead of yourself for the problems that you're causing. That's all stinking thinking. Stinking thinking is any kind of anything that's going to lead you down the wrong path. At least that's how I understood what he said, because that's not word for word. And, you know, it made a lot of sense. It is me. And it is my thinking, and I don't need that shit. And I don't know why I'm thinking that shit. I came out of the meeting a lot more positive, but I'm about to go home to an empty house that's actually got alcohol in it. Out of every drug I searched for today, I didn't find shit but alcohol. And I tell you what, I got about, you know, I'm in the Army, and I drank before I started using drugs. And then even when I was using drugs, I drank a lot. And by a lot, I mean, you know, more than a normal person would drink that would consider themselves a social drinker. I drank, you know, still probably once or twice a month, but when I drank once or twice a month, I drank a lot. So in my freezer, you know, it's almost like a liquor store. I got bottles of vodka, rum, I got fucking flavored liquor like cinnamon flavored shit. I got Jim Beam, I got Seagram 7, I got Everclear 190, you know. I probably got about a 12 pack of beer. Actually, I know I've got more than a 12 pack, because I got a 12 pack in my fridge and a 12 pack that's out of my fridge. Plus, I got a 12 pack that I made myself out of a Mr. Beer kit that I've never opened. And you know, I don't want to throw it away, even though I know I should. You know, it's almost like I think the temptation's going to make me stronger. Plus, I really don't want to drink anyway. I want to fucking use drugs. But drinking is a fucking drug, and it's gonna, you know, it's a mind or mood altering substance, and that's what I'm addicted to. A mind or mood change. Not so much pain pills, but anything that will change my state of mind or my thinking. You know what else I got in my house that I found too is a small pack of Spice. That herbal incense shit that people smoke that's like weed that's legal. Or used to be legal. It's not legal now. But I've still got some. I've even got a water bomb. I've got bottles and stuff that I used to use with cocaine, because I used to mix my cocaine up and make it liquid, and I would put it in this small bottle, so it's probably got, you know, quite a bit of cocaine residue in it. I guess I'd probably need to just throw all that shit away, but I know it's there, so I'm gonna go home after I've been thinking about it all day in a house that's full of a bunch of shit. It's not really the shit that I want. And instead of doing it, I'm going to occupy myself with something else. And even if that something else is just sleeping, then it's something else. But I think what I really want to do is go home and write. I want to write a song, feel inspired. Like I've got something to say. So let's see if I can put that something to some music and make, you know, maybe make something productive out of a really unproductive situation. But tomorrow I don't have a meeting. I don't even know where one's at because I've got my son all day and I'm not going to have time for one. You know, my dad found out that I'm an addict, and my dad is the head of a bunch of anti-drug organizations. So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be talking about drugs with somebody tomorrow, because I'm going to see him there. So I'll make another video where I've got something else to say. Thanks.